Well, so, I've said before that I really don't want to get bogged down in covering ludicrous SNP Indian F2 propaganda, and ordinarily I probably wouldn't have covered a story from a guy folding his fucking arms, as if that makes him any more important than my dog's fecal matter. I just mean, what's that about? However, the point being here, though, that this is being shared about, this article has been shared about, and including from our dear leader, Nicola Sturgeon. You know, she loves a good photo opportunity to stand there and handshake men, which I find hilarious considering it was only last year that she was quoted in an exclusive article. Vogue, yeah, you remember Vogue, talking about how she never wants to shake another man's hand again, or she hopes that doesn't have to occur. But yeah, then she shakes Joe Biden's hand, poses for photos with Joe Biden. Well, the list is endless of the amount of people that she's posed in photographs with. But here we go again. And Sturgeon herself, the thin lip guru, retweeted this article, and I just thought, now, do you know what? Why not? Now, I'm not going to pick through the entirety of this, because there are certain things within this that I wouldn't be able to debunk, even if I wanted to, purely on the basis of, not because I'm ignorant or unintelligent, but because there's an element of me that actually sort of agrees. But this is the problem that I will continuously highlight. The SNP, as it stands at present, they've not only just hijacked nationalism in order to further their cause, which if you've even just the last video I uploaded, one with no commentary, clips that I'd compiled from a conference that took place just last year in autumn. The point being that they have hijacked nationalism, they use the occasional nationalistic talking point, but the reality of the matter is, what their intention is to leave the UK with the sole intention, and you know, I keep saying that, to rejoin the European Union. This isn't independence, it's not nationalism, it's none of these things at all, whatsoever. Not one iota of this is legitimate nationalism. So when Mr. Foldy Arms here, you know, because it gives off the impression he's really intelligent. No, doesn't he? Let's see how good you are, Gudgy. As I say, there's a few things that, as I say, I somewhat agree with to a certain extent, but it's the malevolence and the deception and just the fucking outright cuckery that really annoys me. I can only assume the intellectual life of a Scottish Tory politician is a strangely disorientating one. Last week, the opposition party accused Nicola Thinlips of gallivanting across Europe while local communities face piles of rubbish on their streets because of years of SNP cuts. Now, he doesn't go on to rebuke that point. No, instead of what he goes on to say is, the implication is that the First Minister should stay at home and muscle in on local government pay disputes. And I think we're meant to ignore the fact that this is the party who championed a decade of austerity. Oh, because it's austerity that's at fault here. It's austerity that's to blame. He then finishes off this little paragraph here. Who once boasted their cuts to UK public spending showed they were the party of sound money and sober financial management. You're missing the point here, buddy. Now, I don't like the Tories. I've made no secret of my disdain for the Tories, the same way I've made no secret of my disdain for every single party within the UK concept as it stands. But the point remains the same here. This isn't the first time that Nicola Sturgeon has actually gallivanted around another continent. The local elections that just passed, within a couple of days, she was straight away off to talk to no end about climate change and hers. How did she get to this continent? No, we're talking about America here. How did she get there? Oh, that's right. She spoke. she flew over in a taxpayer-funded CO2 emitting plane to pose with Nancy Pelosi and a few other ball bags in the American Constitution. Nobody of real importance. I didn't see her meeting Joe Biden. I didn't see that happening. Well, he means fuck all. But the point being here, though, that she ran her entire campaign on the lead up to the local elections because they reeled out Nicola Thin Lips. Even though this was council elections, they got her to come out and do all the photography, they got her to do all the propaganda, etc., because it's a cult. Point being though, however, what was slap bang on the side of the bus next to her fucking face? Because for some strange reason you need her face on the side of a bus. Oh, that's right. It said ease the squeeze, you know? And what do we get? We get her pissing off instantaneously to America to talk about CO2 and climate change, you know? Oh man, it's funny. It's funny because this isn't the first time she's done it, but yeah, she just backwards off again. I don't hear Andrew Tickle rebuking these points. Not my points, the points that he calls out the Tories for having the temerity to point out that she prefers to fuck off abroad. You know? So anyway, it says just a bit further down, creating and then taking credit for fixing social problems is a Tory party speciality, or special. First, adopt economic policies guaranteeing to level down public spending. What's the photo, man? Anyway, first adopt economic policies guaranteed to level down public spending, then claim you're in the business of levelling up living standards and investing more in communities. As political escape aristocracy goes, you can wonder at their flexibility and the gallivanting with his arms folded. The First Minister has opened a new Scottish innovation and investment hub in Copenhagen last week and took the opportunity to meet the Danish Foreign Minister. Tell you who she didn't meet. Oh, you're going to love this one. Oh, you're going to love it. So this is from the Express. Now, obviously, you'll get the SNP like, oh, it's right wing, it's far right, it's Tory. No. Let's just get to the nitty gritty, as we say. But just to read the headline, just so obviously you have an understanding of what I'm referring to here if you weren't aware. Sturgeon snubbed as meeting with Danish PM refused on her controversial trip, right? But let's just go to the quotes. Oh, it's funny. It's funny little Miss Bowcut getting snubbed, as we say. An insider had told The Sun that the First Minister was of course keen to meet with the Prime Minister, I'm not going to say that name. It obviously wasn't the reason for the trip. Another source told the newspaper that Sturgeon wanted to showcase herself as a world leader, and a meeting with a young female leader from a social democratic party would have helped this to no end. But it was not to be. The Danish government instead gave her a brief face-to-face, brief being the imperative word there, face-to-face chat with the Foreign Minister shortly after 7 a.m. According to Sturgeon's Twitter, however, they discussed how the two nations can work together on issues. There's a common theme here, by the way. Can work together on issues including the cost of living crisis, energy, and the climate emergency. Point being here, though, she stabbed. She flew over there in her CO2 emitting plane, taxpayers' expense, to top of the climate emergency. Yeah, sure she did. Oh, jeez, I'm in the areas again. Oh, come on, like. Then he goes on a bit about, investment from the Nordic countries, etc. That's not really my point for making this video. It's just like it's very selective of what they pick and choose. Of course, it's advantageous if we can work with the Nordic countries, or any country for that matter. That's not my point of contention. As I made reference to at the beginning of the video, there's some points that I agree with, but why do you need to fly over in your CO2 emitting plane to discuss these matters that could be done virtually, could be done via your Zooms, your Skypes, could be done via an email process, could be done on a phone call? It's all about the cinematography, so to speak, And let's not forget here that these are politicians who parrot to no end insistently And in overabundance, climate change, the climate crisis, but yet they don't seem to have a fucking problem with flying over to whatever destination it may be at taxpayers' expense in CO2 emitting planes. What is it, fine for them but no fine for us? Anyway, let me see, there was another point I wanted to bring up here. He brings up Boris Johnson, etc. As I say, I've got no time for them, so I don't care. It's tit for tat politics for all of these people, you know, it really is. But they tried to paint Sturgeon out like she's some sort of angel, a demagogue, put her on a pedestal that she does not deserve. Let me see. And as Scotland cities experience the effects of industrial disharmony, that's what's to blame right now, is it not? Oh, it's Thatcher. It's the disharmony. Oh, of course it is. Yeah. And I'm not arguing the point that didn't help, but the entirety of the UK felt the ramifications of that. Second of all, though, it's 2022, not the fucking 1980s or whatever it was. It's just as well that the rest of the UK is a valley of peace with no intractable structural challenges which its government might usefully spend its time on this summer as the UK government drifts through the interminable leadership elections, hapless and rudderless as the energy crisis intensifies. But Sturgeon went to Copenhagen for a day or two. Forget your gas and electric bill. Forget your worries about budgeting for a cold winter. Feel the fury. As I just reiterated, so I will not repeat. Just fucking wow. Synthetic outrage is a psychoactive substance, good for escapism, perhaps, but essentially, a recreational drug. This blue pill dynamic is felt across Scottish politics, and it is stupid and exhausting, just like your poses for your photograph. For example, Tories and the madder ends of the unionist media are obsessed with Scottish ministerial travel, but have not a peep to say about the ordinary and extraordinary running cost of the UK government. Last week, one tabloid splashed on new shock figures which revealed the Scottish government had spent a massive, near 1 million, on maintenance, fuel and staff costs, running 28 official cars last year. The Express was notably more relaxed when earlier this year Liz Truss spent nearly 500k, as it says, in a single 5-day trip by chartering a private jet to Australia. This is the point. They are odious people. Hypocrites of the highest order, but so are the SNP. This is the point that seems to go over all of your heads. Because fundamentally, from COP until after COP, the SNP have been called out time and time again from the odd intermittent interjection from the normally once, unchallenged narrative. The SNP spend taxpayers' money, and they've been doing this for a long time, on chauffeur-driven cars across the city. Across the city. Don't hear that though, do you? No, you don't. You never do. It's all about the Tories. Let's point out the Tories' faults. Why can't these people, this is my point, these people should be capable, intellectually speaking, if you want to go down that route, of being able to see that they're all the same. But they don't, because the SNP are different. They're all different. They care about you. No, they don't. As for gas and electric, running costs, cost of living, the one thing that I never hear from any of these individuals when they go on about the Tories' cost of living crisis is the fact, forget your gas, your electric, feel the fury. No. Sustainable developments, Agenda 2030. Why don't you, Mr. Foldy Arms, go and look at who signed us up to that? Why don't you do that? But you won't, will you? They never do. And it's just waffle. It's fucking waffle.